Hello, and welcome to this zTPFGI demonstration. In this demo, we'll look at zTPFGI's Integrated Regression Test Facility, zRTF. When you make changes to your software, it's good to know the impact of those changes on the software. It's good to know that the quality and integrity of your software has not been compromised by changes. zRTF allows you to test your programs to ensure quality assurance. Regression testing allows you to test your software prior to changes, then again after implementing changes, so that you can compare the difference. Before we see it in action, let's take a brief look at how regression testing works. First, a program or group of programs is run and the output is logged. This is phase 1. Next, changes are introduced to the system and the same test is run again and its output is logged. This is phase 2. Phase 3 involves comparing the phase 1 and phase 2 logs to assess the impact of changes on the software. Phases 1 and 2 can be run sequentially on the same system, or you can run them in parallel on two separate systems if you run one system as the baseline and load changes onto the other system. To run a regression test, you will need one or more input file and a configuration file. The input file contains the commands that are to be run in the test. For example, this input file contains a number of Z entries and some application entries, plus a command to load the test load set only if running in phase 2. If needed, you can specify which phase any of the entries is to run in by putting PH1 or PH2 at the beginning of that line. If you don't specify the phase, then the entry is run in both phases. The configuration file is easy to understand and allows you a fine level of control over the tests and provides a comprehensive description of the available settings. Let's take a brief look at each section in turn. The General section allows you to specify whether to run in regression test or volume mode, whether to run phases 1 and 2 sequentially or in parallel, how often to provide status information on the run ID, and the paths to the directories in which to save the log files for each phase. In this case, both phases save their log files to the same directory. The Scripts section contains the settings for running the input scripts. This includes whether to run in serial or round-robin mode, as well as which input files to use. If you need to, you can define several input files to run. For each input file, it also allows you to specify which terminal to run the commands in. The Phase 1 and Phase 2 sections define which vpaths to use for each phase. For a parallel run, you can either define two separate shared vpaths, one for Phase 1 to run on and one for Phase 2 to run on, or you can allow zAutomation to allocate separate vpaths for each phase from a specified pool. To find out more about zAutomation, please watch the on-demand vpaths demonstration. The remaining sections of the configuration file allow you to define what should or should not be logged. This includes being able to explicitly include or exclude specific database files, tapes, macros, and SOs. Now that we know a little bit more about zRTF, let's take a look at it in action. When running zRTF, you can run all the input files that are listed in the configuration by right-clicking the configuration file in the Host Files window and selecting to run zRTF. You can also run an individual input file by right-clicking the required input file and selecting to run zRTF from the pop-up menu. When we run, status messages will be shown in the Command tab of the Output window. For this demo, zRTF will provide status for every entry. However, to reduce the number of status messages and speed up the run, you could use the configuration file to specify how often zRTF should provide status reports. Now let's run zRTF. We specify which configuration file should be used for the run, and the test will run. First, the configuration is validated. If validation fails, all the validation results are displayed in red and the run doesn't progress past the validation phase. Next, zAutomation allocates a separate vPass to each phase, and the phases begin. Notice that the output for each phase is easily distinguishable by being clearly marked as pH1 for phase 1 and pH2 for phase 2. They are also clearly demarcated by being shown in different colors. The zRTF output files are saved to the directory specified in the configuration file. The output for each of the commands being run from the input file produces two log files, one for phase 1 and one for phase 2. Now you can compare the phase 1 log files for each entry with the phase 2 log files for the corresponding entries to measure the impact of the planned changes on your system. zRTF comes with a series of browse and compare APIs that you can use to develop and customize your own phase 3 in accordance with your specific needs. Thanks for watching this demonstration of zTPFGI's Integrated Regression Test Facility, zRTF. To find out more, please watch some of the other demos that are available, take a look at our brochure, or contact us for further information.